We are going to be taking us through quote to invoice. So this is really focused on tag work. Our company has been around for about 6 years. We service exclusively commercial cleaning companies. We provide a software platform. It's got a lot of features in it, but it is cloud and mobile-based software, specifically for the needs of commercial cleaning. So everything from sales, obviously we're doing quote to invoice, quality control, work order management, portals, that type of thing. And we'll go ahead and just kind of dive into it. And then we didn't plan on spending a lot of our time actually in our software. So if it makes sense for you, or if it's of interest, by all means, we'll show you how to get in touch with us, and we're happy to schedule a presentation time. And for that matter, you know, if you have any questions or want this material, or just want to discuss your process, we really enjoy speaking with industry colleagues, and we'd be happy to do that. So today's topic is focused on tag work, and we use that term tag work just really as a generic name that describes extra billable work orders. We've heard all kinds of different names, so I just want to kind of throw out tag just to level set for us. But extra work, specialty services, client requests, etc. Just for the purpose of this webinar, we're going to just call it tag work and keep it simple. So there's the tag work, and then the other piece is the quote through invoice. And that really has to do with everything, all the processes from sending a quote to your client through getting it invoiced, hopefully without any issues. And we got into the quote through invoice process just from continual feedback from our clients. As a company, we spent a lot of time speaking with our customers, obviously, and there was a recurring theme related to tag work. And I think first and foremost, our customers wanted an easy way through this process to help with higher profit margins. And we'll talk a little bit more about the impacts we can have with profit margins. But our clients were looking for a platform that made it easy for clients to approve quotes, to route it for scheduling, to get the work completed, get it into invoicing, and then have that proof of delivery that clients often request. So that's where our focus is going to be. So we're going to take you through the process of why focus on billable tag work, and that's really why does it make a difference. Some ideas that we've seen work for cross-selling to your current customers for that additional work, and then managing the quote through approval process. So before we dig into that, we were just going to send out a quick poll, and it's just asking what are the biggest issues you have as it relates to quote through invoice. And if you could just fill that out, it should be pretty simple. If you don't see an answer that belongs to you, maybe you could pick the second one. And then I'll share that with everyone. So as we were researching some tangible data that we could provide as far as the impact goes, we came across and read a couple of annual reports from the very few publicly traded commercial cleaning companies, and we pulled this out of ABM's 2007 AR annual report. And they specifically mention in their financial section within their janitorial business unit that the extra billing work, the tag work, accounted for 6% additional margin for that year's financial statement. Oops, sorry, I'm getting a little confused here with the screens. So we thought, what would the numbers look like for our customers? And this is what we came up with. We're happy to share this spreadsheet with you if you want to model it on your own. But if you have, let's say, 100 contracts 50 contracts, whatever that number is, and if you're averaging 7% margin on those contracts, and if you sold each one of those clients one service per year, and we average the service at about $1,000, right? So it may be two $500 services or however that's going to shake out. We figured that you would boost your bottom line by 10%. Your margins would go up 3%, your bottom line would go up 10%. We think 35% from what we're seeing is conservative. We've seen profit margins up to 70%. And one of the complaints we often hear from our customers is that some of the bigger guys are getting in here and giving the contract away with the strategy of, hey, we're going to upsell, we're going to cross-sell, and we're going to gain margins that way. So there's definitely a financial benefit if you can have a strong mix of recurring contract work that's typically lower margin and include tag work with that higher margin value. So again, gleaming from the AR report, referring back to the ABM annual report, they talk about a culture, they talk about a focus on cross-selling, and most importantly, implementing a process. That's where we tend to pick things up with our software platform, is providing the platform to implement a process. And in the selling world, it's much, much less expensive for you as an organization to sell into existing customers than to sell into new customers. And according to sales stats, a new prospect is about 5 to 20% likely to purchase your services, but an existing client, that jumps up to 60 to 70%. So you've got a captive audience to listen to you and hear you out as far as those services. And I think as we go through this webinar, there's one main takeaway that should gleam out, and it's the importance of focus and process. No question about it. And we've seen it firsthand with our clients, servicing and partnering with them, large or small, or whether they are new or been around for a decade. A disciplined process creates focus and produces greater results to the bottom line. So a couple of things related to cross-selling and some of the things that we've seen work for our customers is alert notifications for building needs. And this is just setting up alerts for new and existing clients. So as part of a new client startup, you might set reminder notifications to alert sales that this company should be visited or called regarding possible floor work or other services you know about the building that would be needed. Perhaps your clients didn't include any periodic cleaning schedules in the contract. They should definitely be at the top of your list. So the concept is, you know the building, you know the client, you should have a good idea of their future requirements. Setting reminders is just one step in the process so that somebody is contacting that client and you have the opportunity for tag work sale. Our software allows you to set up activities for future dates. We have one client, for example, that does a lot of the contract work without periodics included in the work. And they'll set up recurring work orders, assign it to an account manager, and issue work tickets, at a predetermined schedule. And the work order simply says, call the client and check if they need high dusting or restroom sanitization. And those calls are made. They've got up to 200 schedules set up within their system. Another great tool we see used are inspections. Most of you are probably performing inspections, and traditionally inspections have been a very operational process, really used to gauge the cleaning performance and the management performance. Giving your salesperson or that account manager a way to view the inspections and see some trends we'll give them some ideas of who they can call and what they can call about. So if you're seeing a lot of deficiencies as it relates to floors, as it relates to furniture, etc., high dusting opportunities, that's a great way for your account manager or salesperson to make calls. We actually have a feature that we'll be introducing shortly within our quality control where you can tap on a spot and mark it as a sales-only deficiency so that we can route that email to the salesperson so they've got a heads up, hey, this is a lead that came from the operations. And it's a good way to merge your teams together so that operations under sales understands what your account managers are trying to do and vice versa. And there's other reports as well. You can check past work order history, what have our clients been using, what type of complaints have come in, how many kitchens are in this location, should we be recommending periodic services. And the final thing that I just want to talk in regards to client cross-selling is CRM, customer segments, and email marketing. We could spend a whole day on this subject. But there's a few basic ways to segment your customers that provide insights into what type of tag possibilities exist. So if you can identify your educational customers, your multi-tenant buildings, etc., those type of properties obviously have different types of needs and different types of opportunities. There's many free to inexpensive tools you can use to manage this, and we'd be more than happy to assist. A lot of this our platform will handle. It's actually easier if you have fewer clients because you're going to get everything up and running and starting a marketing campaign, and you'll find the results and want to make adjustments. So it's never too soon to jump into that. And this really goes back to the probability of selling to a new prospect is 50 to 20%. The probability of selling to an existing customer is 60 to 70%. So putting forth this focus and effort to your existing clients should be well worth it. So what we're showing now is just a list of top selling services we see from our client, and I'm sure there's probably no surprises for you here. Construction cleaning are the highest dollar value services. We have a few clients that have dedicated salespeople just calling on contractors. Construction cleaning can be a bit more complicated by nature. You may run into project phases, percentage completion, etc., but a lot of revenue that's generated. What is important about this list, all these services are really difficult for your clients to ignore, difficult for them to do themselves. These services require experience and expertise. We are also seeing trends traditionally outside cleaning within our customer base, providing more integrated services. Lighting services, replacement, sales, etc. We're seeing a lot of light facilities maintenance, groundkeeping. Your customers are benefiting from managing fewer vendors, so more and more commercial cleaners are extending their business into facilities management, and several or many are including engineering in that mix. So this trend only makes sense, and it's great for the industry. So now we're getting into the quote to invoice section of this. And this is when we get into the details regarding generating a quote and getting it to an invoice. So this is the quote to invoice process. So now that you have an opportunity, it's time to create a quote. And the main component of any quote is the pricing, the content, and your contact. Pricing in janitorial can be calculated as a fixed price, estimated hours at an hourly rate or a price per square foot. You can run into more complex costing with overhead and margin calculations, but from our experience, most of our clients are keeping it pretty simple with those three pricing types. We have many, many customers that came off Excel templates, but if you're responsible for managing the quotes, Excel files are difficult to track and end up in bottlenecks when the invoices need to go out. So there should be no confusion when a quote is approved for the operations and the accounting teams. And what we try to do in a workflow is just start with a quote and flow it all the way through to the end with an invoice. Email for approvals, instant e-approvals and verifications. So approvals are often overlooked. If you make it easy for the client to approve, you'll reduce wait time. It's pretty simple for a client to respond back via email approved, but they have to open the document, review, save the file, then get the email back, and we know this causes delay. Then you have the overhead of proving to the client they approved the work when they receive the invoice. Doesn't happen always, but we hear it quite often that it's going to a different person that's paying the invoice and they want proof that it's been approved. So what we do is we send, after the quote is generated, click a button, we send one email with the details of the email and an option to attach a PDF quote. And clients can open up the PDF, go back to the email and just tap approve, and we'll notify the client, the person that submitted the quote, and we'll capture the approval details so that that can flow all the way through to the invoice if that's what needs to happen. So then work orders get started when the quote's approved, taking us back into scheduling and assignments. So now it's owned by operations. We create automatic work orders once that's been approved, and we notify the ops folks that the work order has been created. So we're trying to make communications and visibility to that quote and now the work order as transparent as possible. Keeping in mind the quote for the client is the source of scope, and that's what's been approved. So the benefit of having a workflow system is the language of that quote that's been approved flows all the way through to the invoice. So ops now has the responsibility to not only complete the work, but prove the work was completed, hopefully with quality. So taking after photos, field comments, client signatures is often something that we see that's manual, so that a proof of delivery can be provided to the client as backup for the invoice. We again automate that particular process. And then finally, the invoicing stage and backups. Invoices need to reflect the approved quote. Accounting is usually out of the delivery loop and works the work details, so it's important that they know this has been approved, it's been completed, the pricing is correct, because you're using that approved quote that was approved. And now they're ready to do the invoice. We will integrate with many different types of accounting systems. And we have clients that will include a URL link on their invoice so that the client can click on that link, open up the PDF document, the PDF invoice, click on the link, and they can see that proof of delivery. Any notes, any photos that were taken afterwards, and the original quote approval. So we reviewed the quote to invoice process at a pretty high level, but hope this provides an understanding of best practices. We find our customers spend a lot of time on finding approvals to make it okay to invoice, checking with ops to see if the work's been completed or when it's going to be completed, checking with the clients to see if it's good to go. All they have to do is approve it, that type of thing. So we're hoping that a little bit of detail into these processes gets you thinking and learning about some of the opportunities to improve that process. So we promise we keep this within 20 minutes. I think we've done a good job of that, and thank you for attending. If you'd like us to contact you, or you'd like to see the software, or you just want to talk through it in more detail, please let us know. We'll be following up with an email saying thank you for joining, and we appreciate your time and hope this was beneficial. Thank you.